everyone, and welcome to the 12 Days of Cortisol Christmas. I am so excited to introduce you to our guest this evening. His name is Vinoj, and he is our adrenal warrior musician who has created this musical journey to help us with our advocacy, and he is working through his diagnoses with his music. So Vinoj, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Winslow. So hi, everyone. My name is Vinoj, as Winslow mentioned. So a little bit about myself, just in general, my day job, I work as an engineer working on transit systems, mainly in Canada. Right now, I'm actually based in Edmonton, Alberta, so a bit far north, and it's a bit cold up here too. So I wonder if there's any fellow Canadians out there listening, tuning in as well. Outside of engineering, I actually work on poetry and hip hop music, which I've been working on or been doing for about 10 years now. And to me, that's always been an outlet for just my, like, whatever I'm going through. Usually I'm a very quiet, introverted person. And I feel like music has really allowed me to become more confident in myself, be able to express myself and share my journey with others who can relate with me. So after I got diagnosed with Addison's disease in 2019, it was inevitable that that would eventually creep into my music and share my experiences through that. So that's why through that, I later connected with Winslow, and here we are. So that's a little bit about me.
Thank you so much, Vinoj. So you were diagnosed in 2019. Can you tell us about how you were diagnosed and that journey?
Yeah, for sure. So it was about a year's worth of, I guess, symptoms accumulating before I officially got diagnosed in 2019. So first, it started off with my skin color darkening. It was during the winter times particularly. That's what really threw me off. Is like, why am I getting tanned during the winter? And typically I don't even get tanned at all because I'm already like a brown skinned person. So noticing that there was such a stark difference, I was a bit concerned. The doctors, my family doctor couldn't really place what it was because it was kind of isolated and not really related to anything else. So I just kind of went along with it, saying, okay, this is what it is. And then after that, it eventually led to, I guess, just a general loss of appetite. I wasn't really eating as much as I would usually do, but because it was happening so gradually, I was kind of just saying, okay, maybe I'm just wanting to eat less in general, and that's fine. And then came the abdominal pains, and then the nausea. And at that point, I was starting to get concerned. My girlfriend, my fiance now, was also concerned. So we went back. I had to go to the emergency at the hospital, and they just wrote it off as food poisoning twice. So went back home, continued to deal with it without really knowing what it was. And it got to the point where I think I lost about 30 pounds within that time frame. And at that point, I really couldn't take in any food and just wouldn't stay in. I was like throwing up. And eventually my fiance did some research, and she thought it was Addison's. My family doctor did like research on her end, thought maybe this could be it. But since she was an expert, she just wrote a letter. We went back to the hospital, and they finally kept me there to do some tests. And they did a bunch of tests, checking my cortisol levels, seeing if giving me cortisol would help. And that eventually led to the diagnosis of the primary adrenal insufficiency. So since then, I've been just still experimenting with what the best treatment for me is, because I know it's quite unique for each person. So we've been changing the dosage, changing the time, seeing what would actually work. And so far, most of my symptoms have gone, and the only things that are remaining is just the fatigue. I know that's one thing that's probably the hardest to get rid of once you know you have Addison's. And other than that, just dealing with any kind of potential side effects or anything that would come up. Yeah.
Wow. So it sounds like you had quite the diagnostic journey. I think it's interesting. They said it was food poisoning twice.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. I'm very thankful that your now fiance was able to research and find things. I think that's interesting. Most of us actually have found the diagnosis on our own, whether it's us or a family member, and then had an endocrinologist or a family doctor test it. So that's one reason that we're trying really hard to advocate for cortisol testing, because it's not done. And I think
Mhm.
I don't know that it's as rare as they say it is. I think that they don't test for it. But anyways, so as far as your creation of your music, I want you to tell everybody about Temple to Castle, because that is my jam.
Yes, appreciate that. So Temple to Castle, this actually, so I got diagnosed in September 2019, and that was just like not even long before COVID-19 hit. So I was just dealing with that and trying to adjust to that. And then COVID-19 hit. I got told I have to be extra careful. I got to, not go outside as much, try working from home if you can. And I think just being cooped up for that time is really what it got me frustrated at a point where I'm like, okay, I have to deal with this new diagnosis and also deal with preventing myself from getting COVID-19. And I was trying to do everything I can to kind of make sure that I can, make sure my body is the best that it can be to fight against whatever it is. So Temple to Castle was one of those, it's probably the song that I wrote, recorded and released the fastest out of the rest of my music, because usually I sit on my songs once I write them for about a year or two before I actually put them out. But this one really spoke to me, where I really want to write a song to capture the whole battle with Addison's and how pretty much the journey that I went through it, and how I feel motivated to just continue to, no, almost like not fight against it, but still work with it in my life. It started off with me, I was listening to quite a few songs that were just getting me, just to make sure that I have like an uplifted mood. There was a song that was called The Fight Song, which was by Master Ace featuring Pharoah Monch. And on that song, the artist Pharoah Monch took on the perspective of being multiple sclerosis, if that was a person that was speaking to someone else. So I was like, if Addison's was a person, and what would they actually say? Would they be kind of like this evil disease that goes around and be like, hey, I want people to recognize me. I want people to know my name. And this is the kind of things I would inflict on people. So the start of Temple to Castle just came out as just me pretending to be Addison's, speaking to, I guess, the person who has the diagnosis, and what they would say to that person. So when I reached out to the music producer, I asked him to create some kind of haunting, very almost like an orchestral or like almost evil sounding beat at the beginning, that not too many drums, but just like a cinematic kind of layout. And then after that is pretty much my response to being, hey, I'm gonna continue to build my body, continue to fight. And at that time, I was a bit more active than I am now, where I was doing a lot of martial arts and like trying to work out to kind of counteract the effects of like the weight gain I would get from taking Cortef, and trying to bring my weight back up to what it was before I got diagnosed. So it was almost a song that I was thinking about what would be a song that I would play while I'm, working out or wanting a little bit of motivation. So it was just me saying how I want to change my body, because the phrase that your body is a temple was going through my head. And I want to change that to make your body a castle, almost like a fortress. And so that you can protect yourself against, COVID-19 or all these other diseases, because you already have Addison's to deal with. So that's where the whole Temple to Castle title came. And that's also in the chorus as well. It was the first song where I really tried doing a little bit of, I guess, background singing on the tracks too. So I was really pushing myself to be a bit more creative. And I think it came out much better than I expected. And the response was a lot better, more than I expected as well. And I was really glad to see how far it reached out to others with Addison's that also can relate.
Well, I just applaud you for that incredible process, and I'm a writer as well, so I can understand like the foreshadowing and everything. And the first time I heard it, I was like, oh my goodness, this person really gets this disease. Because I think, with music, there's a lot of stuff that's general, but that one was like, oh, he has this, he gets it. My favorite line is where you're just like, I declare war. I'm like, yeah, we do. And that's just why I wanted to share this as well, because like you said, when you have a condition, that's not all you have to deal with. You have to deal with family stuff, you have to deal with life stuff. The whole world just went through a pandemic, and we're, trying to sit here and say, I have to handle every single thing. And I think ballads like that and music like that are very empowering to our spirit, because human nature wants to go, oh, this is so hard, I can't do it. But the message of the song to me was, this is a temple. We're gonna make it even better. Here we go. I'm with you. Like, it is a workout song. It's a pump up song. And I'll be honest with you, there have been times where I have had to push myself physically, and I put that on and be like, you know what? I'm in an army of adrenal people. Like, you're in the army. There's a bunch of people. Like, we get this. And I appreciate your spirit with that. And so, that being said, if it's okay with you, I would like to tell our community what you're working on as far as the anthem.
Yes. So I guess a little bit of background is like I know it's Temple to Castle. After I released it, I was thinking, definitely want to create more songs for the Adrenal community as well, but I want to create something that's a bit more uplifting, a bit more like, even though Temple to Castle is very motivating, it still has the kind of the dark edge to it. So this one is a bit more on the very happier, more optimistic side. So the Adrenal Anthem is a song that's going to be made for the community of people with Addison's, and it's just going to be a song about pretty much understanding that you're not alone in this, and we understand that we have to walk on this. The imagery that we're thinking about is like just like a tightrope where you're doing the balancing of so many different things in your life while still trying to manage this disease. And it's just a song for people to be able to come together, not feel alone, and feel totally uplifted and as part of a bigger community. Because it was through releasing Temple to Castle that I was able to tap into and realize that the community of people with Addison's is actually much bigger than I was told by healthcare professionals. And just seeing them, like, we need to find better ways to stay connected, and even like through the Cortisol Christmas, that's such a great way to know about what's happening across the world relating to adrenal insufficiency.
Yes, and I want to explain as well to our viewers. So the team that's making this anthem, Vinoj, of course, has adrenal disease himself. He understands it. I have somewhat helped with it. I'm not a musician, so I've kind of seen this process. And then there's another very talented young lady that is a part of our creative team. Her name is Kendall Grady. She actually teaches violin. She's a doctorate in I don't even know what the word is, but she's a concert violinist, and
Yeah.
she has Ehlers-Danlos, and so she understands not necessarily adrenal insufficiency, but having to kind of route your life around these things. And so they have worked on this song for probably over a year now.
Yeah, it's been a while now.
Yeah, and this thing started out with, originally we came on this Zoom call and we were like, all right, Temple to Castle is this anthem. How can we expound this, and through everybody's collaborations, Kendall wrote this lovely musical score, and it's basically this incredible inspirational ballad that I cannot wait to premiere. So we will be premiering this hopefully at the next disability inclusion event, which is going to be March 5th here in what's left of Fort Myers, Florida, because it hopefully will be better by then. But we're going to premiere it there, and then we're also going to, I'm assuming Vinoj is going to release it on his platforms and stuff like that. So we're really excited. Like I said, there's so many things that our organization is working on that I can't wait to announce, and this is one of them that I really was like, oh, I can't wait to premiere it. So so tell us about the process and how this music has helped you just kind of filter all the emotions that come with adrenal disease.
For sure. And I guess to add on to like the Adrenal Anthem that we're working on too. So Temple to Castle is more of a song that I worked on really like as solo completely. And then I worked with a producer, like a music producer, just to create the kind of mood that I was looking for. What I really love about the Adrenal Anthem, as Winslow mentioned, was the collaborative aspect of it. So we have Kendall, who's providing a lot of her like experience through her by playing like concert and classical violin. And then we're also collaborating with a production duo called Back and Forth, who are from Vancouver. And they're providing more of the musical background as well, to end a bit of the songwriting to really make the song come alive. And then we're also collaborating with singers as well. So I think all of it, just this already feels like a community feel just from the creation process of the song, where we're just bouncing ideas, sharing lyrics, be like, hey, does this sound good? What about if we use this word, or like change this line around? So there's a lot of just that kind of collaboration really makes me feel like this song is like the best that we're going to offer to the whole Adrenal community, and we can't wait for everyone to hear it.
Absolutely.
And I guess another little self promo that I can add is, I know almost like if you put Temple to Castle in the middle, where it's like motivational, still a little dark edge, Adrenal Anthem being the very uplifting part of it. There are some days where, you know, you feel very down and feel like, okay, why am I feeling all of this? You know, sometimes some of your symptoms come back, and I do have days where I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm back to ground zero, but I still have to step up. So I had this producer from California actually reach out to me, and his name was Gridlock, and he was actually inspired by Temple to Castle. And he said, you know, even though he hasn't gone through Addison's himself, but he can relate to the different pains and struggle that we experienced there. So we created a song that we recently released, and I still haven't promoted it yet, but you can find it on Spotify. It's called Cursed, and it's under his profile, which is Gridlock, or you can search it through my profile as well on Voice of Silence. And it's a much darker song of just almost, you know, asking yourself, you know, why is this happening to me? You know, I'm taking all this medication. Do I really feel like I'm getting better? So it's like, it's almost those songs that when you're really, really down and having those really bad days with Addison's, that's the song that really came out of those moments for me. So coming back to your question, Winzo, it's like music's a way for me to almost capture the different moments that I experience in life. And it also helps me process them too, in a way. In the past, what I always found interesting is sometimes I would write something, write a poem or write a song, and it would be about, say, 4 months after when I like wrote it and I didn't touch it, I read back to it and I almost feel like I wrote it to my future self to actually understand that moment. Because maybe while I was writing it, I really didn't know what I was going through, but going back and revisiting it, I'm like, oh, this is what I really meant, and it's really helping me through this moment. So it's a very therapeutic, it's a very cathartic process of just releasing my emotions. Sometimes I really struggle to my fiance says is to express my emotions, exactly what I'm feeling in the moment. So for me, writing it down and then processing it over time is ways for me to just understand what I'm going through, capturing what it is that I feel, and hoping that others out there are able to relate to it.
Wow. And that's such a powerful statement that you said about how some days you wonder if you're going backwards. I know all of us that have this condition worry about that, because it is a daily fight. And I think that we get caught up in, you know, social media. Some people can do this, some people can do that, but it doesn't show the full gradient. And I honestly so appreciate that aspect of your music, that you have the anthems for the days where you can fight, and then you have the other ones where you're like, I'm cursed, this is ridiculous. And then you have the anthem, you know, that says, I'm among people, I'm walking on this tightrope, but I'm not alone. So we so appreciate you using creativity as a way to advocate and as a way to help the rest of us process. I so identify with that. That's one reason I wrote my fiction series, Townsend, is because I could not physically express, you know, to friends and family, you know, these things. And some things you can't even consciously process. But through, you know, Townsend, I was able to write about, you know, her things and her battles. And my protagonist in my book is the angel of death, and she's always trying to get away from that. And I didn't even realize that, but consciously, that's who I was getting away from. And so it's like, it's interesting, like you said, you wrote it 4 months ago, but you look back and you go, oh wow, that's what this was, and I needed this for this. So I just want to encourage everyone watching this that everybody has a creative outlet. I'm not a musician, but Vinoj is. You know, I'm a writer. That's my thing. You might have something that can help you work through things, and it might be felt crafting, or, you know, crocheting, or find something that's an outlet, because this condition is difficult. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's a crazy disease, because like he said, nobody diagnoses it. And then once you're diagnosed, the protocols haven't changed since 1940. So they tell you, take a pill and you'll be fine. And then you realize that's not the case. And then they go, well, oh, it's so rare. You'll probably never meet another person with it. And then, you know, to say to that point, there's an entire group of people that are cortisol deficient. We might be in different camps of Addison, CAH, Sheehan's, whatever, but the cortisol deficient community is millions. And so what I love about, you know, these collaborations is that we can come together all across the world. Like Vinoj is in Canada, we're in, you know, the US, but we can come together as a community and truly help people realize that they're not alone. So Vinoj, did you have any closing statements?
Yeah, I think it's in events like this is really, really important, and just finding different ways to just connect with the community, I think is really, it gives a lot of hope, and also ways that you can learn to manage what it is that you go through on a day-to-day basis. Like there were some in Canada, we have the Canadian Addison Society, and at one point they held monthly, just like monthly virtual meetings that we just kind of show up, and anyone who's willing can share or ask questions from others who have like Addison's as well. And from there, I actually picked up a lot of tips that I was able to take to my doctors, because for some doctors, like you may be the only patient that they're treating that does have Addison's disease or any kind of adrenal insufficiency. So there, it's also a learning process for them. So knowing, being able to lean on the community to help with that. And as Winslow also said, having an outlet is super helpful. Like sometimes I realize on the days I don't like writing, I love cleaning and even just attempting at cooking, even though I'm not the best, but it's still distracting, or like it calms my mind down and helps me be able to process everything else that I'm going through throughout the day. So I really recommend just finding what it is that you enjoy doing and continue to connect with the communities, such as the Adrenal Alternatives Foundation.
Well, thank you so much for that, Vinoj. And like you said, creative outlets are so helpful. We have our Chronically Creative Club that meets on the third Thursday of every month on Zoom. And so if you want to be a part of that, it's so important to find an outlet, because like we said, this is hard. And so I appreciate you, Vinoj, so much for everything that you do and the beauty that you're putting into the world. So if you're interested in his music, I will put all the links to his website, his YouTube, look him up on Spotify. It's Voice of Silence Music, correct?
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
so
correct.
Voice of Silence Music. And we appreciate everybody who tuned in. And our website is down right now, but as soon as it's back up, he is going to be on our affiliate page. And so you'll be able to find his information. So Merry Cortisol Christmas.
Thank you.